change of plans. Here we are, Western Conference. Now, today was a big day for the Western Conference. A lot came down to today, and a lot is impacted by today's events, which one do you want to talk about first? Do you want to talk about the Clippers winning out their last couple of games and securing a first round matchup with the Phoenix Suns? Or would you rather talk about whatever the hell happened in Minnesota, which we now know a lot more about after midnight, Sunday night, Monday morning, than we did this afternoon?
So I'll preface anything I say about the West with the fact that I don't watch too much Western Conference basketball because I'm 2 hours ahead. So I very rarely actually watch a West game from start to finish.
Makes such a big difference.
Right, it really does. Either way, though, all I know is that the middle, I think it was like after the 4 seed, from 5 to 10, it was just a clusterfuck, as Kyrie would describe it, of scenarios and potential permutations and combinations of like
No, it was.
seeding, right?
There
So
was
I
like some real calculations going on day to day for like the last
literally
month
like
in the West.
so random.
Maybe it was fake, but there's that screenshot of the Lakers with like Russ, AD, and Bron talking about like 0.25% chance of the playoffs from like December or January or something.
Literally, I feel like it feels like this is such a common theme amongst the West every year. But
So with
anyway,
that, I'll say let's start with Minnesota then, because
yeah.
there's some hilarity to that. For one, if you know you're out of the loop, Minnesota's final game today was pretty crucial for their final standing as well. They had a game against New Orleans, who was also, it was pretty solidified after Dallas lost the other night who the playing teams would be. But this final shake was, still important.
Mm.
So Minnesota ends up losing a 5-point game to the Pelicans. And in the first quarter of that game, there's an interaction, and I've pieced this together after the fact now because it was also Easter, and who had time to watch 15 games all being played within 4 hours of each other. But before 1 p.m. Pacific time, mind you. But Gobert has a lapse defensively. They get a bucket on them. They inbound the ball. Nobody's there to catch the outlet. Cat's like, Rudy, and he doesn't turn around. They give up a turnover off an inbounds pass and a bucket. Cat slams the stanchion with the ball, and he just looks defeated. And they go to the sideline, and from this point, whoever started what, who knows? But Kyle Anderson just calls him out straight up, and he's like, bro, I won't even say what he said, but he's just like, yo, get your shit together. What's going on? Like,
Right.
I'm not about to hold my tongue about you because you have this reputation. You're blowing right now. Do something about it. And of course, Gobert gets, in his feelings about it, and he puts some soft hands on McDaniels on Kyle Anderson, which is hilarious to think that Kyle Anderson is the teammate that made you punch him. And what I also love about that clip, you'll appreciate it, is Torian Prince is one of the five who was like on the court, so he's like seated during
Yep.
this huddle, and this is like happening like over the top of him, and as Gobert reaches across and throws some weak hand
Yep.
on some weak
A
punch
bear
at Kyle
claw,
Anderson.
like
Yeah, TP stands up, shoves this fool back like six
yep.
inches
Ready to
immediately,
go.
like
Like,
no
yep.
regard, no like you're my teammate. I'm gonna like be neutral. He just
Yep.
like stands up. He's like, bro, what the like? Get your ass back, like.
There is so much to unpack with Minnesota. And obviously you have to address like whatever they thought Gobert was worth. Um, right? It's funny. People look at Twitter and they just see it as like memes, but Twitter has a really abstract pulse on NBA fan bases, like emotions towards like a game or a player. And someone on Twitter called Rudy Gobert baguette Biombo and four firsts. And that's why Rudy threw the hands, apparently, according to Twitter.
That's
But
hilarious.
one
And
other,
and they're saying Rudy's a bum and he started COVID.
yeah, literally, they're saying Rudy's a bum and he started COVID. So it's obviously not looking good for Rudy Gobert right now. But another thing that's really interesting is I was on TikTok. Yes, I'm a millennial that is on TikTok.
Hey,
Um, and one of the there was like leaked audio from the
I just
Tim
heard this myself as well. Yeah.
and Kyle Anderson was like, I have a decision to make this summer. F all
No, he
that.
said they have a decision to make.
Yeah. Or they, either him or they, or yeah, whatever it is, like it didn't sound good. But
Nah, he was like, you got the wrong one.
one
Like
of
he this fool
yeah,
over here being a bum, and you
he
guys
was
want to talk about me? I know y'all can't be serious. All this to say that they now have a playing game where the winner of them versus the Lakers will secure the seventh seed. And the knee-jerk reaction to that would be, oh, this team's in dysfunction. They're unraveling right before a playing game. Great. However,
see,
as any Laker fan will tell you, and I hope this isn't just a homer speaking because a lot of fans might feel this way about their team. But for some reason, you know what I'm saying, folks wake up, oh, we're playing the Lakers tonight? How about I play the best of my life?
yeah,
How about I make every spot up jumper I can?
they're dialed in. They're dialed in. It's a
You
game
know,
that's
do this,
always
have this remarkable performance that goes
yes,
against the game plan.
yeah.
So I don't want to, blow up what happened today and think that they're just going to roll over because, for one, I respect Anthony Edwards. He's a competitor. The fact that he's shown himself to be a player that takes defense as serious as he does when he doesn't have to,
Mhm.
it says a lot about who he's going to be in this league.
Oh yeah,
The addition of Mike Conley midseason turned them into a much
much
more
more.
stable team. For one, he has the familiarity with Rudy.
Yep.
So where Rudy doesn't bring much to the table offensively, once you brought in Mike, there's comfort there. And now I have
There's
somebody
like a
who,
fluidity to the offense. It was so rigid before because you have these two bigs.
yeah,
Anthony Edwards is a facilitator, but he's not naturally a
right,
facilitator.
right.
He doesn't go look for other people to get like their shots
And
because
the addition of Mike Conley on paper seems marginal, but it actually is pretty meaningful for that team. Oh, and there's the kicker.
veterans,
There's the
veterans.
kicker in all this. And I forgot how it even ties in with Gobert, but McDaniels gets ejected, kicked out by the team for whatever happens, punches something on his way out, breaks his hand. He won't be playing.
Yes, that is key.
In a
He's
separate
potential
argument,
defensive player of the year. He's like a
in a separate
candidate.
argument, I make the case where I think he would have my vote as defensive player of the year because I'm kind of past giving it to the big who has the percentage of shots contested at the rim and lowest
Right,
field goal percentage because I don't think that you have to work as hard to do that given what you are as a big player. Like if you're big and you're Bam Adebayo, you're Jaren Jackson, you're tuned in defensively, you
right,
can make smart plays consistently and play the numbers. If
right.
you're Jalen McDaniels,
You're
all right,
guarding the
KD,
best.
you got him? Cool.
Yep,
We need you tonight.
I agree.
All right, Book, you got him? Cool, we need you.
I agree.
Giannis, you got him? Cool, we need you are signing up for a lot every game. And I think these hybrid defenders deserve more credit.
Yeah, yeah.
Eliminate him, and I think they do have trouble.
They have a lot of trouble. They have a lot of trouble. And not even do they have like not just the Jaden McDaniels injury. Cat missed a good chunk of time, if I remember correctly. Like I think he missed like 30 something games
He
potentially, or
was
like
gone from about the end of November, December when he had the big injury, and he just came back
recently,
less than a
right?
month ago.
And you're kind of working through these growing pains. They're not bad. And the thing is you don't Anthony Edwards showed he is ready to play in the playoffs last year. Like that was a given. After last year's dog fight with Memphis, I was like, you know, he's ready to go. But I don't know. I don't know. Minnesota's a mess. I don't they're gonna wake up and play the Lakers. They're an older team. Like they're ready to win. So I mean they're gonna be ready for that game, but yeah, I
I
don't know.
still pick LA confidently in that playing matchup because also, if I'm thinking back correctly, I don't know if it was the last game they played, but it was a game in I guess before Cat went down
Yeah.
where he was mic'd up for the game and it was like a TNT broadcast game and
Mm,
Cat was doing his Cat stuff
yeah.
and he knows that he's mic'd, and he hits the transition shot. Timeout, dead ball. He turns around mid-court, flex. And I think Minnesota goes on to win this game. And it was just a game with a lot of Karl Anthony Towns isms.
Yep.
And I assure you that didn't sit well in the Lakers locker room after the fact. So they're
100%.
probably looking forward at this matchup to do what they do. And I'm not that interested in debating whether the Pelicans or Thunder sneak in or make noise.
Give me
I'll boil
Oklahoma
that
City.
down to they will lose to the Nuggets.
Either team's getting worked by the Nuggets. I agree.
Yeah. So from there, I will spend a little time on the Lakers just because they're my pick. I'll go on record right now. They're my pick to come out of the West. The caveat of, let's hopefully be healthy is always there. And, if they're not to say that's the only reason they can't get it done, because that's the team that they're rolling in with. And if you have health concerns, deal with it.
Right.
But I think that this team reconstructed after the trade deadline is a team, and they weren't before. They had injuries that they were waiting to get back. They didn't have Austin Reeves for a good chunk of the season. They didn't have this roster until the trade deadline, essentially. Insert Beasley, insert D'Lo, insert Vando, and reinsert Reeves, and now put LeBron and AD healthy. And they didn't play that many games together this season, less than half probably. And it doesn't take much. LeBron's one of the few guys, and he can't do it like he can now, like he used to in Cleveland, for example, where it's like, all right, give me the pieces that work. I'm going to make it work. Yeah. And, he's aging and his body isn't as dependable now, but now he has the pieces.
Yeah.
He has the pieces. This is a top 5 defense since the All-Star break. You don't need me to get on a podcast in 2023 and tell you that defense wins championships.
Yeah.
But I will remind you that defense wins championships, and that team can play some defense if they want. And who in the West is blocking those guys out for a full series? And I think the minor addition of Tristan Thompson today will go to bolster that front court. And mind you, we're going to have AD, Bron, Vando, who has a motor on him.
Yeah.
And Wendy and Gabriel crashing the boards. Reeves is a physical player. I like him. He's ready to go in there, get chippy, talk some trash if he has to, pick up a tech if he has to, stand up to somebody, flex on somebody if he has to. Mm-hmm. And D'Lo's got the swag, man. He's got the sauce. And he's a point guard. D'Lo is a point guard at heart. He's a shot maker. He's, flashy a little bit and all of that, but he is a rhythm conductor on the court.
No,
he can feel what he needs to do and give that. And that's my argument in a nutshell, but this team did it in the bubble with AD and Bron, so they've already got it done. And this is the best iteration of this team and the healthiest currently since that bubble roster. And if you go back to that season, it was weird. It was very, very weird, but they won pretty definitively. They made it through the West, and it was scary. There was memes about it. There was Twitter videos with dramatic music behind it about what they did to the Western Conference when they were healthy. So I think that argument stands against all these guys that, teams are going to give them a good shot. And, you have, the uncertainties about Anthony Davis. Oh, is he going to stay healthy? Man, shut up. I don't want to hear it. There's a couple of guys in the NBA tops who does what he does. And almost nobody with the range that he has defensively when he's tuned in. And I'm willing to put my eggs in that basket with that guy. And I'll breathe for a second and let you jump in there because I don't want to go on forever.
I agree with a lot of what you've interpreted from their season post trade deadline. My biggest concern with them is coaching. I actually do not.
I hear you.
And I hate to compare sports to another sport, but I think sometimes you can compare career arcs to another player of another sport's career arc. Brady, when he started to get a little older in his last kind of tenure with New England and kind of like throughout his career with the Bucks, he would have these, what I like to call just like fuck it throws, where he just heaves it down the field knowing the safety's over the top, but he's just going to put it up there, see what happens. If it gets picked, it gets picked. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. Usually when it gets picked, the wheels came off for the Bucks and they would lose that game by multiple scores. There wasn't really a coach in place to tell Brady like not to do that. You know what I mean? That's what Belichick always was. And I feel
I
like
like it.
with LeBron and Darvin Ham, I think Darvin Ham's done a great job with obviously what he's had to deal with throughout the season and all the turmoil and constant media pressure. But when it comes down to a game 6 and you need to be making adjustments against a team like Memphis in the first round, assuming you win the first round matchup, like if the first round play-in, like when it's rowdy in the arena and you just got burned on 4 straight possessions and Jaws grittying at half court, like who's in control? Is it LeBron? Is it, AD? Is it you? Like what? Like I don't think they have that confidence in the bench yet. Like the coaches on the bench, like there are guys that they like, but I
Yeah.
don't know if him is that guy. And so my pick, as a result, I like the Lakers a lot. I think if they get past Memphis in the first round, they are going to have a lot of momentum. But looking at this entire standings and the way they are, I don't know how you pick against Golden State, honestly. Like,
Hmm.
honestly, I don't. And we'll touch on Phoenix later. I think we're going to get to that later. So I'll save a lot of what I have for Phoenix
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
what any of that means for any of those players there. But I genuinely think that Golden State poses a problem for all of the teams in the West except for Memphis, really. They still have the 2 shooters that you got to scramble around. And there's like a 5 or 8 minute video compilation of AD throughout his career getting cooked by Steph Curry on the 1-5 switch. And it's like, no team is really like I don't believe in Jaren Jackson enough for him to stop that. I don't believe in, you know,
Kevin Love did it. I'm sorry.
Kevin Love did it. Kevin
I'm
Love did it when
sorry.
it counted.
It was that was an outburst.
Did it when
Excuse
it
me.
counted. And I was one of the happiest people.
No, man. Well, for one, I would say you were on the money because with my Lakers faithful that I keep in touch with, Ham has question marks. I've watched games where he does this thing in the fourth quarters where he'll just leave the guys out there. He will stand on the sideline. Mind you, I told you they've had one of the best defenses, and I tend to recreationally wager. So
Mhm.
I watch these games and I pay attention to how they finish up and trends
Vegas.
in between. They're a lower scoring team in the fourth quarter specifically, but Ham will just stand on the sideline and just watch the game, not make a sub, not call a timeout, not call a set, nothing. He will stand on the sideline and watch the guys play for minutes on end. And I've seen this multiple times where it's like, bro,
You burn
Lonnie
one.
Walker's sitting there with his hands in his pockets. You want to maybe run him out there and get a guy a break? Do you want to maybe do something with this lineup? So
So
I don't know. I think Braun has the trust, but you defer to me when it's my time relationship with
yeah.
him as a former player as well, to where it's like, you know what we're doing, and you know that I know what I'm doing. So let's fall in line.
Yeah.
I don't love having him there. There's guys like Spoelstra and a number of the Rick Carlisles where it's like I would love to have a different guy in charge who I trust.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He steered the ship, man. He didn't let the ship
No,
go over.
I agree. I
He
agree.
didn't
It's
let
just
it
my
go over.
personal, it's my personal it's just my personal feel. And to go back to that point about not calling timeouts during stretches that are being run or conducted, like Missoula also is the same way, right? Like in Boston. And Ryan Russillo and Bill Simmons give him a ton of shit for it. Like
Russillo.
all the time, right? And so Russillo is like he's basically like he has a very interesting take. He's like a lot of people generally when they look back on a game immediately after it happens, look back and say, "Oh, well, they had 2 timeouts left. Why didn't they burn one?" And it's just one of those things where we have to remind ourselves like these guys have all the data and the analytics and the numbers to support their decision. So the timeout is the most obvious attention grab because it's one of the statistics
Right.
that we're
But they're very
constant.
situational.
Yeah, I mean, even when you think about it, like we're just watching TV, right? We're watching the game on TV. What do you see? You see the shot clock, you see the game clock, and you see the number of timeouts and whether the team is in the bonus or not. Those are the only four statistics that are like at the eye outside of the scoreboard. So it's like, yeah, when something goes wrong, like the first thing we look for is how many timeouts do we have? Or how many fouls do we have, right? Those like
Right.
so it's just one of those things where like I also go back and forth on the timeout thing with coaches because it's like why wouldn't you burn a timeout? Like
A timeout could 100% do nothing at all as well. You call a
exactly.
timeout in the middle of a 10-0 run. Your
And you
team
get ran
doesn't.
on
Your
for
team comes
another.
out, gets no bucket. They go down and score. Your
Yep.
timeout didn't mean much unless it
Exactly.
gets implemented. So I
Exactly.
won't die on that. I have an Anthony Davis sidebar that I just want to touch on before we kind of pivot off the Lakers. For the rap that he gets, he's the only, because we talked about this in the East, where I said I want a big man to do something. I want a big man to make a statement. And I
Yep.
didn't mention that essentially Giannis is the big man that did that and
Yep.
still in the midst of doing it. It's
Yes.
not traditional, he's kind of a swing at the same time, but now he is pretty officially a big. So I'm glad I get to clarify that. But if you kind of put him in the hybrid wing category, Anthony Davis is the last big man to win a championship since Duncan. Before that, Dirk.
Yep.
This entire past decade,
Are we not gonna count are we not gonna count the formidable Andrew Bogut in in 2015?
we're not. Sorry. Sorry, Bogey. I hope you're doing
No
well.
mention of David Lee, the lefty
No,
serviceman.
no. Serge Ibaka in Toronto,
We're not
JV.
going to Serge Ibaka and Spicy P.
Good job, guys. But no, no. It's just something that I feel like should be mentioned because we give him this crap. And I wrote an article at the time in 2018 when this trade was still being worked on, where I said essentially you pay whatever the price is because if you're sold, it tends to pay out.
Yeah.
And history has proven that. Whether you look at the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar trade, whether you look at the Shaquille O'Neal trade, whether you look at the Pau Gasol trade, when you trade for that big man who is him, it has tended to pay off. And all these guys who we're seeing, Jokic has action this year. We haven't got to the Nuggets yet at all either.
Oh,
He has
really?
action, but Anthony Davis is the only one. And yeah, he did it with LeBron. But if you look at that bubble season, Buddy was dominant.
He was.
And he had the stretches this year where it's dominance. So I just when we diss AD, let's just remember, for one, he was a part of the one Kentucky Calipari team that won a championship. When this era gets so much praise of the one and dones at Kentucky and their recruiting class, this and that, he was the centerpiece of the one team that actually won the championship.
Right.
And he is the one big man that has won a championship as the best player, best B player in this postmodern style that we're in right now.
Looked at gold medalists as well.
So I'll move on because we still got quite a bit to get to. Now, just because I mentioned it, I'll get some nuggets in there because we probably move past this as well pretty smoothly. But I'm scared of the Nuggets. The Nuggets were my odds-on bet for a good chunk of this regular season if I was not going with the Lakers, and which I can't,
Right.
differentiate how much is my heart and head, making that call. So if I had to go with anybody else, it's the Nuggets, and it's pretty confidently the Nuggets. And I referenced last year's season series with the Warriors in round 2. There was no Jamal Murray, there was no Michael Porter Jr., and you can just pencil in Golden State for the sweep. They didn't sweep them, and a chunk of those games were competitive. In that game 4, where Denver's playing just for respect, they went out there and got a win in front of their home crowd with Jokic and some guys. And I think when I saw that, I was like, this series is done. But that meant something because when these guys get back in full force, this is a team that's been together for several years. Jokic had an MVP caliber season again. He's clutch. He's durable. He is in good shape. He can play 40 minutes in a series, and you're wondering how he's doing it, and he's out there and he's doing it. And that brother is hard to guard. He is hard to guard.
When everyone discusses the Western Conference, like we just gloss over the Nuggets because it's just like, oh, well, we'll see what they do. But that's because it's just like they have bolstered their roster, right? The Bruce Brown addition is good. You get Michael Porter Jr. back. Jamal Murray looks incredibly healthy after like the ACL, right?
Christian
So,
Brown is a proven rotation player for them now.
yeah,
Aaron Gordon,
yeah,
huge. He's had the best season of his career. He was the
yes.
best 3-point percentage he shot this year. You can tell he's engaged offensively and defensively. And this team makes just sound plays together in transition and clutch moments. They trust, their engine, which is Jokic, and they operate around him.
This could very well be the year they squeak into the finals. This
Let's
could.
talk about the home court advantage, Mile High.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. No, 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 that's true. I still think, and go ahead, you can spout any statistics you guys want at me, whoever you basketball nerds are who are literally on basketball reference 35 hours a day, coming up with new formulas to tell me why Jokic is great. What happens when they drag him out on a guard to big man switch? And then now you put your help side in a pressured situation to rotate because he blows by you. Now we're swinging the ball around, and Jordan Poole hits a 30-foot three and starts looking at all the baddies courtside and goes for 30.
That
Steph has
sounds good and well,
10.
and I hear you. Jokic, sneaky good defender.
Rim protector, yes. When you bring him out,
He's got the right hands, and since he is an agile and offensive guy as well, he has an idea of what to do defensively because he's got a bag himself. And, he will get cooked in that switch with Steph.
yeah,
100% switch with Poole. He will. But, I think that's too quickly dismissive because I think that they can be more potent offensively and do what they do and not depend on threes falling
their
to
defensive
get
rating this
30
last
points in a quarter.
maybe. I never really have been. I think Jokic is a great player, but I can think he's a great player and think his team sucks. like, I just don't get it. Like, I
Well,
don't know.
there's the moment Malone rested some of his guys down the stretch. And
Yeah,
that team with no Murray, no Jokic, and Aaron Gordon, I think, did play. And I
maybe.
think Michael Porter did play. But against Phoenix the other night, they gave Phoenix fits. They gave him fits.
I think
Reggie
they
Jackson in the
I know
playoffs, anybody?
that's also an underrated signing, and I think that that's all great. My personal belief, just from watching the Nuggets these last few years, just for like having a feel for Jokic's game. One of my best friends is like the biggest Jokic truther, always pushing Jokic stuff our way, and it's like, dude, please, like, my personal belief, statistics aside, eye test only. Um, like I don't know if I believe in the Nuggets. I would say I have the same belief in the Nuggets as I do the Lakers. It's like maybe this is the window and you just hit a gear that I didn't know you could hit and you just kind of work your way to the finals, or it's just going to be more of the same, which is they had an incredible run and what it really boiled down to at the end of the game was them getting stops, and for some reason they couldn't do it because they were essentially mismatch hunting Jokic and swinging the ball.
Yeah, I think I hear you. I think that's a little too quick to be dismissive without seeing what that team does quarter to quarter. That team plays in a high gear. They
That's
play
fair.
at a high gear,
I haven't
and
watched
their
them.
offense. No, I feel you. I feel, and this is also a common take though. So I'm just want to argue that because I know what I see when I watch that team,
Yeah,
and it is something that is going to give whoever they get in the series with problems. And it did last season, and Jokic had no help. He's got his guys now.
he does
And I
have some.
think that fool takes this game very seriously
Does
and wants to put his stamp on it and be that big man like I'm arguing for to do something. Show you're the best player.
there's
So
no
I just wanted to make the argument for him
yeah.
from what I saw this year. And I think it's interesting. I will parlay that into Warriors talk because somebody has to beat the Warriors. And let me remind everybody that since 2015, nobody in the Western Conference has beaten a healthy Steph, Clay, and Draymond. So that begs the question of who can hypothetically this year. I think this team has gaps this year. I think that the addition, mind you, the Draymond punch happened right before the year, and I think that that was indicative of, headbutting, but that's, men being men as well. But I think that retaining Jordan Poole really hamstrung this Warriors team because there's a lot of overlap with what him and Clay are going to bring on the floor. And if that's your closing five, Steph, Clay, Poole, Draymond, and then you either insert non-shooter Looney, you insert Wiggins, and you have no rim protection. You insert Gary Payton II, and you're even smaller. And I just don't see how that team is going to stop a consistent team with front court weapons.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does that team outshoot the Lakers or the Nuggets for a series? Because that team now defensively is nowhere near what the Golden States have been defensively in April and May the last couple years this season.
Right. I think my biggest conspiracy take this whole year was Andrew Wiggins was going to come back for the playoffs and they were just going to kick it in the gear. I think that's like inevitably the crash course that we're heading for. Wiggins is going to come back round one, game one, maybe game two. And he's been around the facility. He's been practicing. He's been staying in shape, right? And so, I just think that they have their identity. In the West, there's not a team with a clear identity. You look at Denver, like their identity is pretty clear, but it hasn't translated to like the ultimate success yet, right? Memphis is in the second year of this tough, gritty, grindhouse Memphis reemergence. I don't know what Sacramento's identity is. Phoenix is this lethal scoring thing that I think they have going on. Clippers don't really have an identity. The Warriors have a clear identity. Lakers.
The Clippers, I keep saying, bringing this game up, the Clippers absolutely smoked them boys in their last matchup, which was just hard to forget seeing.
Yeah.
It was close down the stretch. And then you saw that this team had they couldn't stop a point guard. They couldn't stop a wing. And now it's different because that team didn't have Gary Payton. That team didn't have Andrew Wiggins. Yeah. So, maybe it's a little different, but I still think that I don't think that there is the strength and unity in this team that will persevere like it has in years past. And a team like it honestly comes down to the Lakers because I think that they're the biggest threat for them. If you remember when Golden State went to the finals last season, they didn't have to face the Lakers.
Yeah.
Lakers got bounced by the Suns. But remember, that series was 2-1, and you had Andre Drummond doing the shadow shimmy on the bench as they were cooking Phoenix before AD goes down with an injury.
Yeah.
Just might I add. And that was an 8 seed or a 7 seed playing against the Phoenix Suns then. And they were toying with these guys at the end of the game. And an injury happened, the whole series shakes, whole playoff shape. But so it's just, might I add that I just, in my gut, that Lakers front court, and now you add this new shooting and toughness and swagger that they have, it's going to be a problem for all these guys. But in Golden State, they have that track record. I say this going into every postseason. I'm like, somebody in the West, I think the West is going to be a Royal Rumble, and somebody has to beat the Warriors. Who's going to do it?
Yeah.
And we have a couple. Let's touch on Sac really quick. Sac, great season, great regular season. I'm proud of those boys. Proud of Mike Brown, like what De'Aaron Fox did. They're going to lose in round one. It's all good though. It's all good. And I can live to regret that take, but their thing this year, and we said about the Eastern Conference, a lot of teams didn't have their foot on the pedal A lot of teams rested guys. A lot of teams took nights off. Sabonis played for about 2 months through a broken hand.
Yeah.
Fox rarely took a game off and was the best fourth quarter performer throughout the season. So on a night-to-night basis against X team, you had the best clutch performer, and you probably had a better percentage of your guys going who were also playing harder. But I'm not afraid of your wing triumvirate of Keegan Murray, Herder, Malik Monk, and Harrison Barnes beating me to death in the postseason. I'm not. They're going to be good, and this is a great season because another theory I have is, it takes teams multiple cracks before they crack through. You mentioned how Memphis is in at least year 2 of this run where it's, no, we got a taste now, and we also want more.
Yeah.
But you don't get it done that first time. So they had a first, kind of go around. I think they have another step to get through and face that heartbreak before they can hypothetically make it out of the West still too. But that seems a little scary. But if they get the Lakers round 1, we'll see what they're made of, which they, will, depending on what happens in the play-in.
Right.
Do you have anything you want to add on that?
Not really, other than that series just feels like it's going to be scoring up and down. Maybe
I think Sac has a shot to beat teams like Golden State, because I think that if Golden State wants to play that shootout game with them, they might have problems because they don't have the force that's going to slow down. Sabonis has been
underrated cooking.
He's been, I'm trying to think of the proper way, respectful way to make the analogy, but he's been a Jokic understudy.
Yeah, for sure.
Play through him, he facilitates, he rebounds, he plays both ends, blah, blah, blah. They're going to have action if teams don't take them seriously, and they got first round with Golden State. So we're going to see what Golden State's made out of, for one, and if Sac, can build on this, good first season, first turnaround for them, first time being in the playoffs in a long time. So that's good for them. With those guys kind of all discussed,
Phoenix,
there's a good conversation I want to have about Phoenix. Now, hypothetically, it's June 30th. The Phoenix Suns just won the championship. What are we saying? More specifically, what's the KD and CP3 legacy impact if they win the title this year?
Interesting. A ring somehow means different for each member of that team. For Booker, it's a triumphant, like, I'm here atop the mountain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Been there his whole career, never left, right?
I can see him being finals MVP, hypothetically, if they won.
Right? For CP3, it validates a career that doesn't necessarily need a ring for validation, in my opinion.
I agree.
And for KD, it just means a ring, and he won yet again. But what's interesting is KD's probably the only all-time great without a true home.
Mm-hmm.
AC's sort of disowned him. I don't know if they ever really recovered from it. Golden State, the general feeling around fans is, we liked KD when he was here. We didn't really need him to win. Not really a home there. Phoenix.
You can speak to that. You were a Bay Area native.
Yeah, I lived in the Bay Area while, KD had decided to sign. Not a Bay Area fan. Not like a Bay Area sports fan. Obviously, the Bay is cool. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird because I think KD's legacy is already sort of cemented.
Yeah, we spoke about this, man. I was saying that he's in almost everybody's top 20, top 15 range all time. I don't know if it can get much higher than that, because referencing that Phoenix Denver game that I watched the other night again, I had this growing resentment for KD again, because I'm like, you just did it again. You just did what you did signing with Golden State basically again. And
Yeah,
now I can't respect you because you're joining and respect to KD because he can give a damn what I have to say.
exactly.
Respect. I respect that. But it's very frustrating to watch because in that game, Denver was this, hardy underdog playing at home against the Phoenix Suns with all the new and improved Phoenix Suns, and they're going toe to toe with them. And of course, in the fourth quarter, Durant starts hitting his transition pull up three-step layup here, and they're rolling, and he's giving high fives and all this. And it's like, dude, I'm not happy watching this. I don't support this. You joined a team again that was in the finals without you, and you bring in your world of skill and make this team on paper so much better now. And I just can't appreciate it because that team had action again this season. Let's not forget, he had an MVP caliber start to the season. I had him in fantasy. He was the top
Yeah,
player, arguably, in the league this year to start off with.
yeah,
And that team was completely different. You weren't getting much from Ben Simmons ever this season. And it was just him, it was Kyrie, and they were doing their thing.
yeah,
And that seems like that was last year at this point. But he goes down with the injury, and then the team goes to hell, and he forces his way out again. And where is he adamant on going? Oh, the team that was already in the finals without me. The team
yeah.
that has the great, the best core intact almost in the league. I only want to play there. And it's just, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth when you see them celebrate success because no, their road is not hard. They travel half the year. They have a grueling. I went to the gym and shot tonight. I'm tired as hell. I'm sore.
Yeah.
I'm just shooting tonight. So it's like I respect the work they put in. It's not cookie, it's not a cakewalk at all by all means. But for the legacy take, like you said, a ring for if they win this year, I can't see that doing much for how I view KD, aside from he's one of the best scorers of all time. A and B, I'm never going to have him ahead of Steph Curry in my personal ladder of all time greats because Steph drove the bus.
Yeah, well, yeah, and so not to deviate from the playoff talk, but just a quick thing about legacy, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Legacy is not just your statistics. Like there
Mm-hmm.
are immeasurable, abstract, like qualitative factors that go
Mm-hmm.
into determining your legacy. It's what separates like a guy like, LeBron from like a guy like literally Kevin Durant, where it's like, yes, you bounced around and you won rings with different teams, but the way you go about that, right, is very different. It's like Miami, the year before LeBron went there, got bounced by Boston in the first round. I think that series maybe went five. And then LeBron comes in, they do the whole roster construction, right? And he essentially laid GM handpicks that team and
Mm-hmm.
instructs it to win, right?
Drops the coach who had
Right?
a good year before.
Yeah. And it's just like at the end of the day, like KD just seems to be jumping. It's like one of those things where and I hate to compare it to like this young hookup culture, but KD's like a homie hopper. Literally. He goes from one homie to the next, and they just all happen to be on the
Yeah,
same.
no, that's a good analogy, man. Because when you watch that play out, it shapes how you feel about that person, and you're
Like,
just
what
like,
about Brooklyn? Are we just gonna ignore Brooklyn because it failed? Like, what if it didn't?
and
Like,
you didn't have to give up. He was on the line, or they're in the conference finals last year with just
yeah,
him and Harden had one hamstring.
it makes no sense, dude. It just
And it's like, dude, you keep knocking on the door, kick the door down, and stop going to the open door.
exactly, and that's what makes like greats great, right? Like that's what it does.
Now, on the other hand, I think that it changed. The perception of it will be changed now because KD joined this team. But I think Chris Paul winning a championship, even if he's 45, the third point guard on the New York Knicks and they win a championship. I
Yeah.
think it does a ton for his legacy because, in my opinion, Chris Paul will never win an argument against Magic. He'll never win an argument, I think now at this point, against Steph.
Yeah, no shot.
And Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
He should not win an argument against.
Yeah.
Any other point guard in basketball, you can make the argument, I want Chris Paul on my team.
Yeah, for sure.
And the championship and if you look at Chris Paul's career, he never took the easy way.
Oh, yeah.
Never took the easy way. He made Lob City. He made New Orleans a challenger, at least when he was there, and really had his full strength of athleticism and youthful energy. As he transitioned to a veteran in LA, like I said, he had Lob City was the sorry Clippers before Chris Paul got there.
Right.
Let's skip over the Knicks LA Lakers trade because, oh my God, I will go on a tangent every time I think about what that Kobe and that Chris Paul would have done to the NBA. I'll go past that because that does leave a sour taste in my mouth. But I would love Chris Paul to get a ring because it validates what he's done across this generation, which is this is how you play point guard.
Yeah.
And the ring would be symbolic. Like you said, he doesn't need it now because we view Chris Paul in that way. He has the collective respect. Players Association president for a number of years.
Yep.
Likable, actually a really detestable guy for some athletes, but has a nice personality, he's marketable. Like Chris Paul, I love that guy. Good for him. I don't hate him. If I played against him, I would probably hate him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's a dirty player. Let's not But who in the 80s or 90s?
He's savvy. He has old school blood in him.
As JJ Redick would say, he is very good at manipulating the game, which is an asset in playoff basketball. At the end of the day, a Suns ring would just mean that I'm happy Booker won, I'm happy CP3 won, but what a surprise. KD found his way to another team that was already kind of loaded, and they won a championship by dominating everybody else and scoring more points. Like it doesn't I don't know.
Now, let me throw this fun fact out there. No team has acquired their best player mid-season and won the title that year.
Yes. That would be interesting. No, I mean, so KD's the plug and play player.
And he is true. Plug and play superstar. Yeah. No, you're true. LeBron to an extent, everybody essentially because, but KD is the person who can chameleon into any five and make that five deadly.
Infinitely better, yes.
It's interesting because, man, I wouldn't want to see those guys win it just now. But knowing that fact, I'm still willing to bet. I don't like bringing up the Chris Paul injury history because it's just bad luck. But I'm not willing to bet on this team having the interconnectivity to last 4 rounds against other teams that will.
Yes.
I think other teams, and when they face some adversity and they're down in the fourth quarter, I think it's going to be a lot of we got this, but do you really have this?
Yes.
You lost the game before a series is out of hand. KD also got swept last year in the first round.
He got clamped. And so a point about interconnectivity, because I think that is the biggest thing with the Suns. It's like their depth is such an issue. They lost arguably a top 2 or top 3 perimeter defender and a high volume, high percentage, efficient 3-point shooter. Both of them are now developing into high
Thank you for bringing that up because that was my other point.
And they lost the picks, but
they did not replace the Terrence Ross addition. Cool, whatever. TJ Warren, cool, whatever.
Role players are important.
Yeah, but Bridges there was a lot of glue in Mikal Bridges.
Yes.
I say this watching him. He looks like a teammate that I would play with for my entire career.
Yes.
He looks like he has fun on the court, but he's also playing hard and he's locked in and you trust his skill set, you trust his IQ.
Selfless.
to make good plays. And now you're seeing him having a semi breakout season once he got to Brooklyn, because even this season before it happened, you could see his confidence grow before the trade happened. They're referencing, you could see his confidence grow and become a multi-dimensional player that he wasn't when they were in the finals 2 years ago.
Yes,
And
he helped them stay afloat while Booker was hurt.
in my college resume theory, he was a part of that. He was a part of the core
Yes,
at
he stepped
Nova
up
that
with
won a
them.
championship. If you
Correct.
have championship DNA,
It
that
shows.
that is in you and it comes
Yes.
out. It
Correct.
comes out when it matters. And
Correct.
that's not easily replaceable.
Yes.
He was going to take the toughest assignment. Now, who in that starting lineup is?
I
Torrey
agree.
Craig?
I agree. And I don't think that
Ish Wainwright?
think of Bears. Hey, I am more than happy for my guy Ish Wainwright because
Right,
even when
100%.
he was in college, we used to say this all the
100%.
time.
He's
Play
having a rookie
hard.
season 5 years after playing at
Yes.
Baylor.
And he's
Respect, salute. Not
yeah,
an easy path.
salute. It's not an easy path, but that's the thing. Their depth is one issue that I have with them. The other issue I have with them is I don't know if Monty Williams is that great of a coach. Genuinely.
Yeah.
I don't know because every time they win, they're just outscoring their opponents. And when you watch the highlights of those games, I know the highlights don't tell the full story, but if I can watch. I've watched enough NBA to know how the game generally went by watching 10 minutes of highlights.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just them playing in pace and getting up a lot of shots, and
And
there's no
and
defense.
and having Chris Paul at the helm, he is one of
Yeah.
his best traits is knowing when to slow this puppy down.
Yep.
Like, all right, 7 minutes on the clock, we're up 7. Cool. We're not losing this.
Let's run some deliberate. Yeah,
We're not losing this. Let's value possessions, let's
but
value
also
time and
like
time management. I respect. I almost wanted to see them win, and now I don't. And I'm rooting for somebody to beat them.
yeah, for
And the
sure.
Clippers, we didn't even get to I think we did off the top, but the Clippers now have a first round matchup. And we were saying that we wanted a team like Golden State to catch the Warriors, to catch the Suns,
Yeah.
or in a round 2, maybe a Memphis, or we wanted a really good team to catch the Suns early so we could be like, all right, let's get y'all out of here before we build up this fake possibility of you guys winning the championship. Like, let's establish that you guys aren't a team all the way yet, and that this build a roster isn't going to work. But now they got the Clippers, which will be a test, man. I respect Ty Lue.
Yeah.
Respect Ty Lue a lot as a coach. We know what Kawhi does in the postseason. His body isn't the same though.
Oh yeah.
Russ is a much better Clipper than he is a Laker.
Oh yeah.
Which is something that you just understand if you know what I'm saying, LA a little bit, and if you get what he is in this day and age, he's just a much better Clipper. The pressure isn't on him, and he can do what he has relied on to be successful.
I mean, the Lakers hung him out to dry. Let's not sugarcoat it. Like they didn't do anything to help him.
Yeah. Well, what hurt is that
he wanted to be there.
He is who he is, but he's getting paid $42 million, and we can't do anything because we have him on our books.
Yeah.
If he was $1 million for LA, hey Russ, we're benching you real quick.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. You ain't got it, but we'll come back to you. But we're going to try something else. But when he's your second highest, third highest paid player, it's like this massive bullseye on you. But my argument against the Clippers is they've reconstructed their supporting cast every single year. And LeBron is kind of the only guy that can do that has shown that he can do that and bring that team to the highest level. They don't know who they are 100%. And that's a bigger picture Clipper problem. It's just that they just don't know who they are.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, okay, last year we had Reggie Jackson and we had these other guys. A couple years before that, we were in the playoffs. We had SGA and Chris Paul, and we were this young team. And now we've got Kawhi and PG going on year 4, and we've got one conference final to show for it. And here we are again, starting from scratch, hopefully hoping for a good postseason run. Tie game, 6 minutes left. Who are we putting out there again? It's like you can't be asking yourself that question
Yeah.
at this time of the year
Yeah.
and not have an answer for it, because you're going to lose the game that counts and not be able to respond when you need to. In my opinion, I respect Kawhi. He's a Terminator. You know what I mean? I don't know what the heck's up with Paul George. I assume he'll be playing next weekend.
I mean, they're a wild card. That's just what they
Wild
are.
card, yeah.
Like, you don't know what you're going to get from them.
Ton of talent. I think this team has a bit, after the trade and the way that Phoenix shook up their team, I think they lost a lot of chemistry and are rebuilding it. And, a lot of it was intact still because leadership's still there. But when you bring in one of the best players of all time and the media that comes with that and the attention, like, that changes who you are considerably. And I think they're figuring that out maybe more than the Clippers are.
Oh, yeah.
And I think like you said, I think I lean Ty Lue over Monty Williams as a strategic head coach.
Yeah.
In a series.
Yeah.
So
that series is going 6. That series is going.
I'm slick rooting for the Clippers in that one. Let's see, 4-5. The winner of that gets the Nuggets in round 2, which means the Lakers and Clippers wouldn't meet hypothetically until conference finals, which I'm just spitballing because I don't really. That team gets up for the Lakers every single time in the regular season, and good, you beat us. But let's see what would happen in a playoff series. So that could only happen in the conference finals. Now we know the Western Conference, man, there's a lot of stories in the West.
There are. I'm excited to see how it all pans out.
And do we want to talk about Luka and the Mavs? Do you want this to be the kicker?
Why not? Why not? Let me give my spiel on Luka. He is nowhere near what James Harden is or was.
I'm glad you said that because that was going to be my take. I saw that on Twitter today.
He is not close. This whole narrative, like people forget James Harden took like Omer Ashik to the conference finals. He took Josh Smith's corpse to the NBA finals.
Josh Smith did save his ass in one fourth quarter, but yeah.
To the conference finals, excuse me, to the conference finals.
No, I hear
you. Like Luka got to the conference finals in a fluke year. Like the West last year, I'm sure if I go back and look at all the rosters, I can find something wrong with every roster. And maybe you can do that. Maybe you can't.
Yeah. You can poke holes.
Here's my thing. You don't play any defense. You don't try to play any defense. And you can say all you want, like, oh, like blah, blah, blah. Like I have to do so much offensively. Like I can't play defense. That's why I need like Maxi Kleber or Dwight Powell to play defense. Yes, there are roster construction issues. I understand that. But even back when James Harden was in Houston, statistically, he was one of the better isolation defenders at his position. So it's like he at least tried. Like, yes, there's the viral clips of him not playing defense. You don't get to within a game of going to the NBA Finals by not playing any defense. So
I'm in the camp where if you are him on offense and we depend on you to be him, you don't have to fly out and help. You're going to not reach your ceiling if you don't. But I'm of the camp where I'm not bagging on this guy because what he's doing on the other side.
For sure. And Luka has that. Don't get me wrong. But I just think that like it's if you are the face of the franchise and you are the leader of the team, your energy has to be defensively. It has to be there.
You have to be able to turn it on and be the middle linebacker.
Yeah, you have to just be engaged defensively. You can't like complain about every single call. Like you're not.
Yeah, this isn't FIFA.
Yeah, like you didn't get fouled. You didn't get fouled. Like you're looking for a call. Play defense. Go earn the call. And that's easy for me to say from my couch with a Chipotle chicken bowl on my lap at like 2 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon. But at the same time, like it just is what it is. You like great players that complain about calls also tend to get back on defense and do it at the same time. So
you earn it. You impose it on the court, not on the officials.
And until he decides he wants to like be engaged defensively, that team's not going to go anywhere. And they also made a huge mistake, and I tweeted this the day of the trading for Kyrie. Same thing with the whole Phoenix
Yeah.
speculation. You
You
lost
didn't replace
your
what you
best
gave up.
you lost your best perimeter defender. You lost a sixth man of the year candidate who's a veteran who can get you 25, 5-5 in an important game.
Right.
And you traded away, I don't know how many second round picks that could become valuable down the road because nowadays with the NBA draft,
Yeah.
you have your locks, and then you have guys that you get in the end of the first round, early second round that are
Mm-hmm.
valuable
That you
players.
depend on, yeah.
Yes, and it's like look at Kenneth Lofton. He didn't even get drafted. This is a guy that played on Team USA with Chet and all those boys when they were in high school. He doesn't even, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't even get drafted, and he's probably about to play some serious rotation minutes in
He
Memphis
was
during
G
the playoffs.
League MVP this
Yeah,
year.
you just gave all these NBA guys 40, and I know it's the end of the season, blah blah blah. But if someone's giving you 40, it doesn't matter. You know
Right.
they're nice. You
Well,
know
the
they're
Jaden Hardy draft pick was really good. I'm a Jaden Hardy fan
right.
because
But
Las Vegas
Mavs don't
local.
need guards. They don't need guards. Their
Right.
problem
That's
is
kind of a thing too.
they have no true swingman and they have no true big.
Yeah, no, it's and mind you, the biggest blunder by the Mavericks in the past 12 months was the Jalen Brunson catastrophe. You got squat for him.
Yeah.
Guess what he's doing right now? He's in all NBA arguments. You had
And
what you needed, and you could have went and got other pieces to shore up what you did need. Because let me also remind you, Christian Wood wasn't what you needed.
didn't need Christian Wood. Christian Wood has always felt a little overrated to me because of his injury history and also like you're a stretch big that doesn't handle as well as Giannis, but
He's
doesn't
not
shoot.
locked in. He's not playing
I don't
basketball
know.
on the same in the same realm of competitiveness as any guys we're taking seriously.
Yeah.
Sorry to say that. He's also a UNLV alum.
And my last thing about the
Or
Mavericks.
for basketball alum, I'll
Yes,
say.
yes, correct, correct. My last thing about the Mavericks, and I'm done talking about them because I currently live in Austin, obviously, and I am friends with a lot of Mavericks fans who are quite delusional and have been
They're an interesting bunch. They're an interesting bunch. They
like
are.
and my last thing is
Shout
like
out to Chuck. Shout out to Sean.
shout out to Chuck, shout out to Sean. I there's this discourse about firing Jason Kidd, but nobody really wants to place the blame on Mark Cuban. And I don't know when that blame comes,
It's got to
but
go up because these are misguided decisions.
it's like you don't know why are you're not gonna re-sign Kyrie either. He just declined the exit interview. And another point about Cuban was he came out recently and said it all got messed up when Jalen Brunson's dad and mom got involved. It got messed up when the parents got
Yeah, I
involved.
don't. Yeah,
This
Cuban
is
makes
the
he makes
AAU.
excuses. I don't like that. I don't like what
This
he does
is an
sometimes.
AAU basketball, though. This is the
Yeah,
NBA. If you want to get a deal done, you have the
negotiate.
to get a deal done. I
Right.
promise you. The NBA is the world's leading professional sports league with the highest average salary. So I know you have the resources to get things done, especially if you're Mr. Shark Tank, $1 billion deals.
Yeah,
And
don't start penny pinching Mark
yeah,
Cuban
no, that's what I'm
in
saying.
negotiations with your
Yeah,
basketball team because you're too busy
yeah,
trying to get these vegetable chips to blow.
exactly, right?
Like, no, don't
So
make excuses for bad decisions.
and it's done, dude. And
My thing
there's
with Luca is he's not committed to being the best athlete he can be.
yeah, for
Now,
sure.
I want to add a couple caveats here. He's European. I've seen the arguments where, before and after pics of him, and he was skinnier and, looser athletically. And it's like, you come to the States, not only to the States, you come to the heart of Texas.
You're eating barbecue every
You,
other weekend.
and it's hard to say no to.
Saturday at
And
3
you've
p.m.
got this hospitality around you and this good Southern vibe around you. Like you might be caught in the mix.
No property tax, I believe, or very low property tax. So he's
Yep,
listening
friendly
to
friendly state taxes.
Larry
But
June.
he's not committed to being the best athlete
No,
he can
by
be.
far.
Now, his size does work to his advantage and he knows how to use it. He's got the closest IQ, I would say, out of anybody who's entered the league since and been, a star to LeBron that I
Yes.
would put on anybody, and
Absolutely.
that's the highest,
Upper echelon.
version
Yes.
of praise I could, kind of give somebody with how I feel about LeBron.
Yes.
He is capable of dissecting a game and doing what needs to be done from one singular player in a similar fashion as LeBron. He does it completely differently. He does it with, skill and angles and, a slower game and better shooting
Yep.
and better touch, so to speak, but same amount of vision and ability to rebound and be everything offensively for your team. But if he was just committed to getting a step faster, a step stronger, a step more explosive, brother, who is stopping that guy?
So the thing is, when you
And
criticize,
that comes back to, for me, that just comes back to him. It's like
yes, yes,
you've got to own that. But I also think that you have a great argument to be pissed off at what your front office is doing.
yes,
And I think it's not going to work out. I think that since he entered the league and Dirk was on that team for his rookie year, he got a really, really quick ingratiation and attachment to the Dallas Mavericks, and he wants to end his career there
yeah,
because of what he got with Dirk for a
yes,
season and seeing the European come over and how they treated this guy and his legacy, and he won a championship and he's praised and XYZ. I want that here. I can do that here. But this is something to easily be like, nah, bro, I
don't
I
see
have lost my
it.
hope in you guys
Yeah,
because I'm still doing what I'm supposed to do. You can knock me for having my flaws, and I'm in my fifth year, so that's one aspect. But bruh, help a brother out. Give me somebody else who is him to play
yeah.
that can be him next to me because I'll check the box of him, but I need another him at
They
least.
they need a lot of help.
And they had it, bro. They had it with Brunson, man.
They had
That
it.
it was a fluky run last year. You can poke holes in it, but they went on Phoenix's court and absolutely
Yeah,
sunned those boys, no
they
pun
did.
intended,
They
in that
did.
game 7
They
that they
did.
came back from.
Yeah.
And Luke is capable of all of that, man.
He's,
My Tatum argument, I just had to switch because I feel this way about Luka, where it's like you will never be as dominant as you can be if you don't go for it physically.
yeah.
We've seen all the greats' transition from I'm great and I'm a budding superstar to I'm putting in this last bit of work because I'm about to put my foot on somebody or I'm
Yep.
not taking shit from somebody and I'm going to make you feel me. And I think Tatum's going to do that
Yeah.
in a year or two. I think he's going to get pissed off and finally do it.
Yeah.
You saw when LeBron had at the post game and got really challenged. Kobe did it right away essentially, and he had the mentality. But you saw when Jordan beefed up.
Yep.
Steph, look at Steph now and look at Steph in 2015.
Yep. Definitely.
What?
Definitely.
Not the same guy. Look at Giannis now and look at him in his
Honest.
first couple of
Yes.
years.
Correct.
They reached the best version of themselves physically. And my Jokic, comparison, he's never going to be Shaq, but that brother is in shape.
Yeah. Oh
He
yeah.
can play 45 minutes.
Yes. He's gotten in tremendous shape, and it'll be interesting to see what Luka does. When you criticize a player, people automatically think you just don't like them or you're just hating on them, and that's not true. I think Luka's a spectacular playmaker. He's an average leader, but that doesn't mean he's not like a great person or like a great teammate to be around. I just don't think he can fill those shoes yet, and he's not ready to, and
And
that's
he's
okay.
that's the word.
He's
That
younger
those
than
are the
us,
words.
you know what I
These
mean? He's
guys
younger,
are Giannis is about to be 27, 28, and he's a dad.
and he is just now like, you know what I
Right.
mean?
There's maturation. We are feeling this. Once
Yes.
you hit 25, 26,
Oh,
a lot of stuff slows down for you as a man.
oh yeah.
And you prioritize what you really care about.
Yes.
And it's not, let me make this grand parade and post about, hey guys, I get it now. It's no, you just observe and you see, oh, that he's locked in now.
Yeah.
He's on his P's and Q's.
Correct. Correct.
And we'll see that from Luka, I hope. Might not be in Dallas.
Might not be in Dallas.
Might not
Maybe
be in
Denver,
Dallas.
maybe Milwaukee, maybe Boston.
Dear Lord, I hope not Miami.
Yeah.
We
please.
kind of didn't talk enough about Miami in our Eastern pod. I forgot to say that I'm scared of them waking up,
Yeah.
but we've talked about this on FaceTime a lot, and the folks that aren't Miami fans, love to diss Miami and say they won't wake up. But I don't know. There's a sleeping, respectable contender
I
in
think.
them, and it's
Oh
whether or not that they wake up one morning and be like, "Fellas, let's go steal this game," which I just think they can do
yeah.
for
Oh yeah.
some reason. But they
Oh
got
yeah. They
Boston.
absolutely can. No, and I think Boston respects that. There's a lot of competitive respect between those two teams. But ultimately, I think Boston knows like they know what they have to do. They won Game 7 on their home floor. You
We
know what I
have
mean?
some must-watch first-round matchups.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm very, very excited. We've been waiting for a while. And
If Memphis, LA happens, that's box office. If
that's
this
must
Clippers, Phoenix is a Western Conference
every game.
classic, sort of written all over it. And this is just the first round. But these semifinals and these conference finals are going to be ideally some slugfests.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm very, very excited. These playoffs are going to be great. Parity has not been. I don't know if it's so much parity as it is unclarity with this season, but yeah, like I there has never really been this level of there's usually a definitive top tier of
Yeah.
teams, and I don't know if you can establish that this year.
This in my closing point in this kind of regular season recap playoff preview is that expansion is on the horizon, and it might be closer than we even expect because every team loaded with talent.
Oh yeah.
We debated whether or not we were going to talk about the teams that missed the playoffs to round out conversation, and we just kind of came to the conclusion it wasn't relevant enough. But you look at freaking Houston, you look at Detroit, you look at Orlando.
Yeah.
I hate, Charlotte is terribly run, and LaMelo was very injured this year. But you look at some of the talent in Charlotte, it's like, all right, these bad teams aren't bad. They just don't have two top 20 players on their roster. And that just invites more competition. Let's get two more franchises. Let's put one in Las Vegas and let's put one in Seattle. Let's shake up the conference. Let's move Minnesota to the East. We have 16 and we have 16. It's more revenue. The NBA is as profitable as ever. They're a global phenomenon. Second best league globally behind soccer. And in my opinion,
Yeah.
others will vary. Maybe MMA would like a word,
Yeah.
but
No.
it's like it makes all the sense in the world because these teams aren't bad. They're just deciding to be bad. The
Yeah.
Wizards are like, what the hell are we going to do in the playoffs? We've got a former All-Star. We got a couple former All-Stars.
Got guys.
We're not, yeah, we're like, our guys can play. We can't do nothing against Milwaukee, though. I
Yeah.
guarantee you that. So let's just sit back. San Antonio, yeah, don't take DeJounte Murray. We were budding, we had a shot at the playoffs with them. The hell are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Take them. We'll be a step ahead of all you guys, dueling it
In
out,
2, 3 years.
slapping each other for a chance to lose in the second round, and we'll just be at the top of the lottery.
Yeah.
Maybe get this generational prospect, and that
Yeah.
sucks away the competition from it. If you had two more teams where you don't, that divides the competition a little bit. You have guys on their own teams now who are going to take pride in that and be like, yeah, we're new, but I've been waiting to show that I can tango with anybody. And I'm going to leave this team now that doesn't have, 3, 4 former All-Stars on it. And we're going to make a name for ourselves. I'm making a name for myself. And that will increase the competition all around. I think that is in the very near future. I don't think we get to 2025 without an expansion announcement. And it's been over 20 years.
No, I am interested. I think
But the
the
talent is as deep as ever.
definitely, definitely, without a doubt. Yeah, expansion would be interesting.
Then you'll
I
get some separation between teams. You'll have teams where it's
oh
like,
yeah,
no, they clearly aren't as talented. And they'll reboot from a good year in the lottery and have a shot next year versus this team's just going to hang on to their guys and the cap's going to keep going up and they're going to keep adding players somehow. And there's no touching them. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. I also would be interested. I know the new CBA regulations and revisions came out, so it's like I need to take a closer look at that.
Yeah.
I really want to see what impact
Yeah,
that
that
has.
new tournament is weird. We will talk about that
Yeah.
in the days in the shows to come.
But for now, playoffs, baby. Playing on Tuesday. Let's get it. Get the popcorn ready.
Yeah,
Spice the
folks, we will
evening.
try to get on as soon as we can when the time is right, but we'll probably let this episode breathe for at least this week
Oh yeah,
and see what we get next week, which is let the games begin.
I agree. I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. I'm looking forward to it. I think a lot of people have been looking forward to it. It's felt like a long season almost. It's felt very long. So, let's cut to it now. Let's see who's made and let's see
Yeah.
who's needs to go back to the drawing board.
That's that on that.
Cool,
Until
man.
next time.
Till next time, my dude.